Okay, ayan. I'm recording this session for those who are not able to come today, and shout out kay Carl, Lawrence, and Marian for coming in today. Thank you guys. So again, today ang i-cover lang natin is multi-view, isometric to multi-view, I mean. And next week, baliktad naman isometric to multi-view. So I think medyo mabigat yung ano no, yung requirements nyo for the November 15 deadline kasi na-move yung plate 13 to this deadline as well. So hopefully natapos nyo na yung plate 13 no, para at least mas konti na lang yung kailangan yung gawin. Okay? So let's start no. So we have several na ano types of projections, and I won't be covering all of them, pero ang pinaka-importante sa atin is these two no. So in ES1 meron lang tayong dalawang kumbaga, wait lang. Let me change my Saglit lang lasa. Let me adjust. Play. Okay. Okay na. And okay, make sure. Alright. I think okay na. Okay. So, as I was saying, no, ang i-cover lang natin dito sa ES1 is actually this first two, no? Itong multi-view tsaka yung isometric projection. So, we'll be working with those two views, tapos we'll be going back and forth in those two views, no? So, multi-view, also known as your orthographic projections, we've been working with this um, in up until now no, kasi ang ginagawa natin actually yung mga tumitingin tayo ng HRP, FRP and PRP are actually multi-views no. So kumbaga orthographic projections yun. Although up until now ang we've been dealing mostly with planes in space lang no, or lines and planes in space. Pero now we will build those lines and planes so that we can form an object no. And objects are they are three-dimensional, so meaning they have length, width, and height. Tapos, and if we break them down, they are just actually composed of different planes in space, no? Tapos they are just arranged in a manner that you build particular objects from those planes in space. Okay, so yung bago ngayon is yung isometric view, no? So isometric, as the name implies, iso meaning equal, and metric is measurement, no? So ibig sabihin merong if we draw an isometric object, then on all three axes, yung x, y, and z, so we can imagine this as ito, no? So we can, if you look at this, we can say kunwari lang x, y, and x, y, z. Baliktad. X, Y, Z. Kunwari ganyan. So if this is your x, y, and z axis, then if you measured 1 unit dito sa x-axis, that is also the same 1 unit sa y-axis do. So if I draw 1 unit dito, then this should be also 1 unit, the same length, no? So that goes for dito rin. So if you measured 1 unit upwards, it should be equal, no? Okay? So kumbaga proportional lahat. And a good thing about isometric views is that in isometric views, madali siyang i-translate into multi-view because of the equal measurements. No? So for example, if I were to draw the glass box for this, so you'll hear this term a lot, no? Itong glass box. So glass box is just the smallest box that can contain our object. Okay, so it's important that we draw the smallest box because ito yung kumbaga the easiest solution for that particular problem. Okay, so for example, if you have an object that looks like let's just take a simple object muna no, para mas madaling imagine. Let's say itong object na to. If you were to draw the glass box of this object, and you can readily imagine this no, parang isang ramp lang siya. Yung glass box niya would look something like parang ganyan. Okay? So this is kumbaga the smallest box that can contain the entire objects itself. Okay? So ang maganda dito sa glass box because the glass box directly translates to the multi-view projection. So if we look at this part, this plane right here sa taas, if you project upwards, so you will have your HRP. If you project forwards, papunta dito, then this is your FRP. Tapos if you project to the right, then you have your profile view or your PRP. Okay? So yun. Whatever measurement na nakuha nyo, kasi isometric view to, that is the same measurement. No? So hindi na kailangan i-convert pa siya using proportions. No? So wala na tayong gagawin ganun. So yun yung maganda sa isometric views when converted to multi-view. Okay? So I think it would be better if ipakita ko sa inyo no kung paano gumagana tong isometric to multi-view. So there are many ways to do this no pero um, for uh, for this course para mas maging effective kayo sa paggawa ng multi-view to isometric, you will need a lot of parang imagination no. So you need to imagine the object in space and how it would look like if you were to view it in the top view, front view, and right view. So the easiest method na nakita ko, and I like to call this as the push and pull method no. Parang push and pull. So dito, what I'm trying to do, or actually pull method na lang. Sige, tawagin natin siyang kasi I'm actually just pulling points. No? So let's call this the pull method. No? So the pull method is just you're trying to pull certain points towards a particular reference plane. So let's try to do it in our simplified plane right here. No? So pulling is just, for example, if I try to label this point right here, I want to pull it towards the HRP. So if this point is pulled right here, ano yung magiging effect niya doon sa object? So you can see na itong plane na to, itong line na to, let's call this let's just say ito ay point 1 and point 2. So this line 1, 2, if I try to pull it here, magiging ganyan na siya, si line 1, 2 as projected in HRP. Okay? So, ang maganda sa technique na to, it's readily imaginable, no? Madali lang siya. The way you do it is you just pull into the direction of the plane and you move parallel to the parang orthogonal axis. Okay? Or that is saying na you move perpendicular to the plane. Okay? So, for example, ito, let's say this is 3, 4 naman to. Then, if you want to pull it upwards, dapat dito yung maging final location niya. So, if you want to look at the HRP, if this is HRP, no? HRP, then you would see just something that looks like this. No? So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So parang ganun yung makikita nyo sa front view. And it makes sense, no? And similarly, if you look at the front view, ito naman ipupull natin papunta dyan. Let's pull the points papunta dito. So that's si 2, 4, ipupull natin papunta dyan. And you should look at something like this. Tapos si right side view, parang, or si PRP, parang ganyan dapat makikita nyo. Okay, so this is a simple object, so medyo madali lang siya imagine. No? Pero once you have more complicated objects, lalo na pagka merong mga parang optical illusions, so that will kumbaga increase the complexity of the problem. Okay, so let's try it in this method muna, no? And another parang tool that can help us in solving these types of problem is yung identification of the planes, no, with in terms of its relationship to the primary reference planes. Okay, so we can identify three types. So we have your normal planes, and let's just say para madali mag-label, no, let's call them as N. See, normal planes are planes that are parallel to one of the primary reference planes. So it could be parallel to HRP, parallel to FRP, or PRP. So ang maganda dito sa normal planes is that the normal planes will, because it is parallel to one of the edge view, therefore meron siyang one true size. So ang property niya is that in one of the reference planes dapat naka-true size siya. Tapos in the other two, it should appear as two edge views. Okay. So if you look at this example, itong drawing na to, and I'm not sure if you can imagine it the same way I do, no? Pero I think this is a fairly simple shape. You can readily identify kung ano yung mukhang normal, no? So let's draw the glass box first, no, para mas ma-imagine natin. So if I draw, the way we draw isometric views is that yung axis natin is, and you have this parang marker here, no? Itong marker na to, this is actually from the horizontal plane. This is 30 degrees dito, 30 degrees. Tapos itong z-axis natin parang straight upward siya. Okay? So if I draw it, and let me bawasan natin yung thickness. So okay, siguro ganyan. Okay? Then let's draw upwards. Tapos ang smallest glass box niya is if we draw something like, kumbaga, i-didikit natin tong plane na to, this plane right here, idikit natin sa roof ng glass box natin or doon sa HRP mismo. Okay? Parang ganyan. Tapos, let's also draw the other side. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Let's do that again. So ito, drawing natin siya. Yan. So I'm just following the lines. So kasi ito, these are parang 30 degrees. I know that these are 30 degrees. Okay? Tapos, I'll be drawing also dito. Straight up. And I know, and from my imagination, this is the corner, no? The bottom corner, my glass box. So pwedeng straight up na ganyan. Tapos ito, connect those two. Is ganyan. Tapos ang kulang na lang is yung dito na part, no? And it should be, if I draw, like this, from here to here. Tapos ito. Okay? So that is my glass box, no? So hopefully na-imagine siya. So let me just remove some of the line extensions, no, para mas malinaw siya. Yan. So that is the glass box, no? So whatever is projected towards this top plane, this is HRP. Tapos dito, this is FRP. And on the right side, we have PRP. Okay, so balik tayo dun sa relationships, no? So I've mentioned there are three. So the first one is normal. So again, meron siyang one true size tapos two edge views. So this is when a plane is parallel to a reference plane. So I can imagine na ito, this is normal, no? Tama, it's parallel to HRP. So meaning if I look at FRP, edge view siya. Tapos if I look at PRP, edge view din siya. Okay. And this is also normal. It's parallel to FRP. So true size at FRP, edge view in HRP, and edge view in PRP. This is also normal, normal, normal. And this is normal as well. Tama. So yung next natin is yung tinatawag na inclined, no? And let's call it as I. So inclined, inclined planes are planes that are that appears edge view in one of the reference planes, no? So meaning it is a plane that is only perpendicular to only one of the primary reference planes. So kung perpendicular siya to one of the primary reference planes, then it means na it has two edge views pero walang true size. Diba? Sorry, only one edge view, I mean. So it has one edge view, tapos zero true sizes. Okay? So wala siyang true size because in two of the given views, it will appear foreshortened, no? So foreshortened meaning it is not in its true size, no? So kumbaga ito, if you look at this plane, yung totoong size niya is kunwari ito. Pero pag nakikita mo sa top plane, HRP, you will just see it as this small plane lang right here. Tapos dito sa PRP naman, you will see it as something like looks like this, no? Parang ganyan, which is parang shorter or for shortened as compared to the actual na size niya. Okay? So, that is the incline, no? And yung third plane natin is we call this as the oblique planes, no? Let's just say O. And O is they have zero edge views. Tapos wala ding true size. Okay? So, pag oblique, it will always appear as a plane, no? Whether regardless of the view that you are looking at it. So whether it's HRP, PRP, or FRP, it will always look like a plane, no? So obliques perhaps are the hardest na ano, no, planes to draw kasi kumbaga wala siyang parang readily available na reference point, no? Or if I can call it that, parang kumbaga hindi nyo siya ma-establish agad from the get-go, no? So kaya medyo mahirap siyang pero if you're kung na-imagine nyo naman readily yung object, I would not imagine that you will have any problems with it, no? Kahit naka-oblique pa siya. So in this case, ito inclined to, no? So we can see na we have all normals tapos may isa lang tayong inclined. So this should be an easy draw. So what we'll do is, and I'll have to get my compass pala. Sorry, let me take my compass. Compass. Okay, tapat natin dito. So ang gagawin natin is, the first thing we do is we transfer the glass box dimensions muna, no? So we take this dimension and we can see na equal yung dimensions on all sides, no? So this sorry. Equal lang pala siya sa x and y. Tama? So if you can see dito, yung dimension niya is um okay. So you can see na dito sa top part, dito sa parang ibalik ko lang yung ano, no. So sabi ko, 'di ba, x in this direction, tapos y, tapos z patas. Okay. Para lang mabilis natin ma-identify, no. Pero you don't have to name it, no, ng XYZ. Pero if you look at it, yung this y dimension here is equal to the x dimension. So same sila yung dito versus dito. Tama? So it's the same dimension, so it's a square sa taas. Pero if you look at it, yung height niya or yung dimension in the z is actually shorter, no? So hanggang dito lang siya. So smaller yung dimension niya. Okay? So first off, drawing muna natin yung sa HRP part. So this is ganyan. So we draw the box. Yan. Drawing natin like so. And ito na yung HRP natin. Okay? So usually class, when we do this, merong mga markers tayo, and these markers indicate kung saan natin ilalagay yung parang yung reference plane natin or yung dun sa glass box natin. Okay? So dito, we have identified HRP. Okay na. So this is this box right here. Na-transfer na natin doon. Tapos ngayon, the width is equal, no? So I can actually just transfer this pababa. Yan. Ang magkaiba lang is yung kung gaano siya katangkad. Tama? Kasi it's actually shorter when we measured it, no? So pwedeng before I change this compass, no, na dimension, i-copy ko na rin. So somewhere dito. Okay? Ngayon, pwedeng i-drawing ko na rin to. Okay, tapos i-copy natin yung ano. Erase ko muna to. Copy ko muna. And ang last natin i-copy is yung height ng ano natin. Along the z-axis, no? Ayan, it's slightly shorter. Okay, so that's the Z. And siya ilipat. And draw it here. So that's from this one to this one. Tapos pwedeng i-draw natin diretso pa ganyan. To find our height. Right? So it's pwede tayo magbura ng ano, no? Para lang mas malinis. Pero in your case, okay lang naman na maiwan yun kasi construction lines naman yun. Okay? Okay. So, nasusundan pa naman so far, no? So, we have this. Tapos, ang gagawin natin is ilipat na natin yung mga nakikita nating points, no? So, some students parang kahit hindi sila mag-push, pull ng mga points, parang kaya na nilang ma-determine kung ano yung dapat itsura ng ano natin, yung object. So, parang they can readily imagine na ito, may square dito, may square dyan, tapos butas dito. So pwede naman if if the object is simple enough, pwedeng diretso nyo na lang siyang gagawin. Pero let's try the pulling method, no? So if I were to do this, if I were to pull this point right here, and you can label if it gets confusing, lalo na pagka complicated ng object. Pero for this simple object, pwedeng hindi tayo mag-label, no? So pwedeng ito, pull natin siya papunta dyan. So if we pull that, it should look like that. Tapos ito, pag pinull natin, papunta dyan. Naging ganyan siya. Tapos, ito, pag pinull natin yung point na to, pupunta siya dyan. Tapos ito, pag pinull natin sa taas, somewhere dyan. Parang ganyan. Tama? So, parang, parang ang itsura niya is parang dinivide mo lang yung square mo into 4 quadrants. Parang ganun ang dating. Okay? Okay, so let's do that. So, drawing natin siya. And usually, for these types of problems class, no, ang ginagawa naman nila is parang yung the way they divide segments is in terms of parang regular fractions. No? So, kunwari 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, ganyan. So, we can say, we can safely assume na ito is half, no? Half the distance. And if we can double check, it's really half the distance. No? Tapos dito din, half the distance siya. And we can say na ito, half the distance. Okay? So, we can say, we can do, ganyan. Tapos, this is half, no? Gawin natin, mark natin yung half. Drawing natin siya dyan. So, ito, drawing natin dyan. Okay? Now, this is, let's just call this normal 1, kunwari. Tapos ito, normal 2, normal 3, normal 4, normal 5, normal 6, and ito, I lang. Okay? So, this is actually the I plane. Ito is the normal 1. Tapos ito, si normal 3. Tama? Normal 4 is edge view. Yung dito, this is normal 4. Normal 5 is this edge view right here. Normal 6 is this edge view right here. Tapos normal 2 is this edge view right here. Okay? So para lang mas ma-imagine nyo. So ito, hindi naman necessary i-drawing nyo, no? Or i-label nyo yung mga planes nyo. It's just easier to parang double check if tama yung gawa nyo. So dapat, whenever you check, no, you should be able to locate every visible plane. So kung hindi lumabas yung plane in any of your drawings, then probably you did something wrong, no? So it should appear, kung normal siya, dapat mag-edge view siya or mag-true size. Kung inclined siya, either mag-edge view siya or for shortened view. Tapos pag oblique siya, for shortened siya in all of the views, no? Okay? So dito, asan ba tayo? This is, let's try to draw the final answer na, no? So if we finalize this answer, gagawin natin is, this is a solid line right here. Tama? This is also a solid line. This is a solid line. Ito rin. And this one. Pero this part right here, hindi siya solid dapat, no? Kasi if you notice, wala namang line dito. Tama? There is no line here. And kahit sa ibang levels, wala din line dito or dyan. Okay? So, nandyan lang. So, if we Let me dim out my construction lines. Dapat yung magiging final answer niya should look something like this, no? Parang ganyan. Ay, mali. Okay? Where we can identify all of the planes, no? Right? So that's the first na ano natin, HRP view. Now let's try the ano naman, FRP view. So let's do pulling of points method ulit. Ito, pag pinol natin siya dito, should appear here. This one should appear here. Tapos, this back lines right here, itong line na to would be parallel or will be coinciding with this line. No? So we don't have to worry about that. Para magko-compress lang sila or mag-a-align lang sila into one of the only one line. So it would appear something like that. No? Tama? So if you pull these points here, you should get something that looks like ganyan. Ah? So if we do that, then we'll take this one and it's half the distance. Somewhere dyan. We'll note that yung height niya is different. No? So mag-iba yung half distance niya. So if we draw that, actually, slightly shorter. Ganyan yung half distance. And notice how I'm taking any class, no, because I know that they are parallel and I know that these ones are parallel, no? So I can take this dimension right here, pwede rin this dimension, and if pwede rin actually ito, no, so it wouldn't really matter because I know that they are parallel, no, because they look parallel. And in if you remember your yung clause yung theories in parallelism, no, you only need to when lines are truly parallel to each other, they should appear parallel in all views, no. So if you can see, if you look at the HRP, they appear parallel para itong line na to and line na tan. If you project it upwards, it appears parallel, and if you project it dito naman sa side na to, they will appear parallel as well. Okay, so ito yung half the distance of the height in the z direction. And it should appear so tapos pa kanya. Tama? So this is N2. Ito ay N4. Tapos ito edge view ni N3, edge view ni N5, and ito edge view ni N1. Yun nandito N1 to. Okay? So dito naman N6 is a triangle, no? From this point to this point. Okay? So this is N6. Tapos inclined appears as a edge view, no? Okay? So drawing ko na lang. Ay, as edge view. Okay? So if we were to finalize the answer, then ang gagawin natin is we draw thick lines, no? So ito. Tapos dito rin sa bottom. This line is solid, no? Ganyan. Pero hindi solid yung dito na part, tama? Yung part na to, hindi dapat siya solid because you can see na wala namang lines along that line. Kumbaga, butas siya if you look at this direction, no? Okay? So dapat ang line dyan, and ito, these are solid lines. Okay? So again, let's dim down our construction lines, and it should look something like that. Ganyan yung magiging final answer. Okay? Now, let's do the last na reference plane, which is the PRP naman. Okay? So, pwede kong gawin is Kasi ito, technically, projection line pa rin naman siya, di ba? So, pwede kong i-project lang siya pa ganyan. So, project ko siya ng ganyan. So that I know the distance. No? Tapos, ang gawin natin is, let's take the half distance. No? Okay. And by now, you should be able to readily imagine no, kung ano yung parang shape niya along the PRP. No? Something like that. 100% ko pala para makita nyo. Okay. It should look like this. So, dito, I can erase this part. No? So, this is the inclined plane. Tapos, butas dapat to. Tama? Wala namang object dito. If you look straight ahead from this side. So, dapat butas siya. Tapos, nandito si N3, N2, tapos N1, all in edge view. N6 is also in edge view here. Tapos, kita lang is si N5. No? Tama? So, try ko na lang to para mas malinis. Let's just retain N5. Okay? So, dapat ang final answer natin, draw it here. Oh, right. It should look like this. Okay. Last, ito. If we dim our construction lines, it should look like this now. And it makes sense now. Tama? If we do the pulling of points again, ito, pupull natin papunta dyan. Should be here. Ito, papunta dyan. Should be here. Tapos parang magiging ganyan siya. Tama? Tapos ito naman, pull natin dito. Pull natin dyan. Magiging ganyan. Solid lang. Okay? Tapos all the other points at the back will just coincide with the already existing points dito. So wala tayong issues doon. Okay? So that is our final answer. It looks something like that. Tapos ito, yan. Okay? So okay ba tayo? No problems, no? Parang medyo madali lang naman. Ito, na-discuss na pala natin itong 3 na to. Normal, inclined, and oblique. Siguro transfer na lang natin to. Okay. Oblique na lang natin. So normal, again, si normal is when we have 2 edge views, 1 true size. Ito, we have 1 edge view, 0 true size. Ito, 0 edge views, and 0 true size. Okay. So, let's try to identify ito, no? So, let's look at this. And mukhang ano lang naman siya. Puro edge views and inclines, no? Sorry, puro normals and inclines. So, this is normal. This is also normal. F is an incline, no? E is normal. D is normal. And C is also normal. So, tama nga ba? Wala na, no? Okay. So, sige, later na lang. Mas may papakita ko yan. So, we're done with this. Okay na tayo, no? Let's try a more difficult shape. Okay. Ito, this is slightly more difficult, no? But it's still doable. And let's try another method, no? Merong mga may certain students no, na they are more comfortable instead of parang pulling points, they're comfortable with doing grids, no? Parang they arrange their so some students they like to do this method, no? Instead of doing grids, instead of pulling certain points, ang gagawin nila is they draw their grids and image mode. So some students, instead of doing pulling of points, ang gagawin nila is they draw the glass box. Tapos dun sa glass box nila, they arrange it into grids, no? So parang kunwari, ito, this is grids. So pwedeng ganyan yung grid nila. Tapos kunwari ganyan. So depending on the shape of the object, parang babaguhin yung grid, no? So they can sort of parang say na meron siyang level 1, level 2, tapos ito pwedeng row 1, row 2, and so on and so forth. So parang madali ma-identify kung nasaan tong object na to. So for example, I could say na um, let's say na ito kunwari 3 levels pala siya, no? So this is level 1, level 2, and level 3 kunwari. So I can say na itong plane na to nasaan to? This plane right here, this normal, should be nasa level 3 siya. So it's in level 3. Tama? In the parang row 1 and row 2. Pwedeng ganun, no, na strategy. So some students like to do that, lalo na pag yung mga shapes ay kunwari ito. So this is dapat pala itong levels yung ginawa natin, no? Kasi ito medyo madaling gumawa ng leveling system. Kasi yung gagawin mo lang is i-divide mo yung grid mo into parang portions like this. Ayan. So easily ma-identify mo yung different planes. So this one is level 3 siya. Ito level 2. Tapos yung bottom dito, that's the level 1. So yeah. Some students like to do that. Ako, personally, I like to do primarily use the pulling of points, no? Tapos yung leveling for certain objects lang para mas ma-imagine ko siya. Pero ang primary method ko is to pull the points towards the reference plane. Okay? And yung kung hindi niya talaga kayang i-imagine kung paano siya pinupush and pull yung mga different points natin towards the reference plane, yung simplest is to just do yung parang methodical approach siya. Parang i-label mo lahat ng points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ganyan. Tapos, run those different points regardless if nakakalito yung imagination niya or not. Because you have labeled your points, alam mo at what part siya dun sa grid mo nagme-make sense, di ba? Kanina nag-draw tayo ng grid. So we can say na kung meron ka ng grid na ganyan, so point 4 is, kumbaga, you create a sort of coordinate system, no? Wherein meron kang X, Y, and Z. So parang ganyan. So if you have an X, Y, Z na coordinate system, then ang gagawin mo lang is, kunwari, 1 unit X, 1 unit Y, 2 units Z. So dapat dito siya. So yun, pwedeng ganun, no? If you want to create a grid system that looks like this, no? Tapos methodical yung approach nyo. Okay? So it's very time consuming, pero if you have, kunwari, medyo sobrang complicated na object, it would actually be simpler, no, if you just do the coordinate type of parang locating of points. Kasi parang you save the time of erasing kasi mali pala yung initial imagination nyo, mga ganyan. And isa din yan sa class, no, sa siguro tips na pwede ko ibigay sa inyo when you're doing lalo na pag ISO to multiview or multiview to ISO. Sometimes there are objects na sobrang hirap i-imagine, no? And because of yung mga optical illusions, no? And optical illusions, again, uh, it's not a fault of your own, no? Kasi again, dahil lang to sa how we perceive the real world, no? So when you have optical illusions, hindi nyo kaya talagang unless ma-rewire nyo yung brains nyo with kung hindi kayo na-expose to different parang orientations of planes and whatnot, nangyayari is hindi nyo kayang ilabanan, kumbaga, yung imagination ng brains nyo. So what I suggest is if sobrang nahihirapan na kayo sa imagination, just take a break muna, tapos balikan nyo siya, and baka meron kayong magiging fresh perspective dun sa problem nyo. Okay? And if all else fails, just do the coordinate na type of coordinate system na lang, no? At least yun, parang matrabaho pero wala ka ng, kumbaga, lalaban ng imagination. So as to speak, no? Okay? So let's try this one. And again, step one is always draw the glass box, no? And this is perhaps one of the most important steps, no? Kasi kung mali yung glass box nyo, although you can argue na wala namang maling glass box kasi kumbaga if you draw a certain glass box na iba yung na-imagine yung glass box, then you could have a separate solution using that glass box, no? It's just that there are certain glass boxes that can provide the simplest answers, no? Okay, so the first step is actually the most crucial step para i-define kung ano yung magiging final answer nyo. If you did a glass box that is different from how the checker imagined it, posible na sobrang magiging complicated or impossible yung parang object na imagine you through your glass box. Okay, so let's do this. Glass box natin. Okay. Ayan, get natin siya. Tapos, okay na. Kailangan na lang natin i-complete itong yung lines, yung 30 degrees na to. Okay? From this point, and this one. Ayan, tapos connect na lang natin to. And we have completed the glass box, no? And hopefully, we have the same imagination glass, no? Tama ba? Ganito din ba yung na-imagine nyo na glass box? So this is, for me, no, this is perhaps the smallest the smallest box that can encompass this particular object na to. Okay? And let me know if you have a different imagination. We have, sa akin, I can imagine this is normal. This is inclined. This is normal. This is also normal. So ito nakadikit sa PRP ko. Ito naman nakadikit sa FRP ko. Okay? Tapos ito nakadikit sa HRP. Tapos we have one more, and I would imagine na ito, this is actually an oblique, no? Tama? So ito, oblique plane siya kasi if you look at it, and let's do pulling of points na method, no? If I pull this point papunta dyan, it will look something like that. Ito, pull this point papunta dito. And if I connect it, you would see na parang ang shape na na-produce ko is ganyan. So it looks like a foreshortened na parang itong four-sided shape na to. And by the way, class, isa yun sa makakatulong sa inyo, no? So whenever you are translating shapes from location to location, lalo na pag if it's from reference view to reference view, and lalo na if it's an oblique plane, then it will still hold its general shape, no? So kunwari, if it's a triangle, kunwari, kung triangle siya, kung triangle yung plane na to, whenever you view it in different reference planes, it will always maintain its kumbaga triangleness. So never dapat na itong plane na to, pag sa ibang view, makikita nyo na kumari, magiging ganyan siya bigla. So hindi siya posible, no? So let me give you another example. So kunwari, itong four-sided shape na to. If this four-sided shape is, yung general look niya is ganyan, then it will always look like this, no? So posibleng ma-foreshorten siya. So pwedeng maging ganyan. Pwede rin kung malapit na siya mag-edge view, maging ganyan. Pero it will always look like a four-sided shape, no? Never siya na mangyayari na biglang magiging three-sided shape to. So it wouldn't happen, no? Kung naging three-sided shape yung isang originally four-sided na shape, then may mali sa ginawa nyo. Tapos lalo na sa mga higher na n-gons, no? So kunwari yung mga polygons natin na that have a high number of sides. So kunwari something like a hexagon, no? Kunwari hexagon siya. Ganyan. Never na kunwari hexagon, it looks like an hexagon pero in one view naging ganito siya. So it's still a six-sided polygon pero hindi na siya parang regular hexagon wherein meron ka ng ano ba term dito? Meron ka ng exterior angle that is greater than 90 degree. Okay? So never dapat mangyari to. If it looks like parang itong piatos na to, it will in all views look like a piatos na parang foreshortened lang in some of the views. So posible na makikita mong view is you could have a view that looks like this. Baga naka-flat siya pero it still maintains na yung parang piatos shape niya. Okay? So isa yan sa makakatulong sa inyo. Whenever you're checking, just look at the general shape. If it changed, and I'm talking about oblique planes here, no? If it changed its shape, ibig sabihin may mali sa ginawa nyo. So itong oblique natin, four-sided siya na medyo trapezoid yung dating. So in all views dapat in FRP, HRP, and dito sa PRP, it should look like a four-sided na parang trapezoid looking shape. Okay? So let's do this. Copy muna. So the first thing, we have done the first thing, no, which is to create the glass box. So after the glass box, kunin natin yung compass. After the glass box is, i-copy na natin yung mga distances. So this is the height of the um, HRP. So parang yan. Tapos kunin natin yung same ba sila ng height dito? They are the same height, no? So parang i-transfer natin to. So this is the height. And since alam natin yung height, I can just transfer it towards this direction. Tapos, I'm already here. So pwede ko nang ilipat na din to, no? Kasi square kasi to. So yeah. Pwedeng lipat ko na siya. So I can form this one. So notice class na parang nagtitipid ako ng kumbaga steps, no? So again, in general, no, whenever you can kumbaga reduce the number of adjustments that you make, this would mean less yung error na pwede nyong magawa. So if I did one measurement, so I just did one measurement of this length right here, and this length is the same length as ito, same siya dyan, same din siya dito, and dito, and dyan. So I always reuse that measurement, no, para sure ako na tama yung mga measurements ko and walang error kumbaga. Okay? So next na length ko is actually yung parang mahabang length na to, no. So that's along the y-axis. So it always helps also to parang always balikan nyo kung ano yung general na shape ng glass box. So ito, you can say that it's ano ba tawag dito? A square prism ba tawag dito? Hindi, rectangular prism siya, no? Wherein equal ang square yung cross-sectional area niya. Okay? So meaning same ang X and Z pero iba yung Y. Okay? So ito. Measure that. Let's drawing natin. Ayan, pwedeng i-bring down natin siya na. Okay. And ito, buuin na natin din. Okay. So I can just erase this now. Add my compass. And now, medyo buo na yung ano natin. Medyo darken ko pala ito. Doble. Okay. So meron tayong glass box. Okay. So let's do ito muna. So easiest na pwede nating i-drawing is yung normal na to, no? So let's call this N1. Label natin N1, N2, and N3. So let's draw N1 first. And N1 is easy because parang nakadikit naman siya doon sa HRP, yung roof ng glass box natin, no? So we'll just use our compass. Kunin natin yung distance na to. And that distance is this one, no? Ganyan. So if I draw it, ito siya. And is it the same distance? It's halfway sa hindi yata siya halfway. Hindi, okay lang. And kakailangan ko pa yung distance na yun. Hindi na siguro. And I could always just project it downwards. So, tapos ang kailangan ko is yung distance na to. Okay, sorry. This distance. Tapos ang kailangan ko is this distance. Okay, so I'm measuring this point right here. Yung point 3 na to papunta dito sa this is point 4 kanina, no? So i-label ko lang para mas madali natin explain. This is point 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So yung line 3, 4, kailangan ko siya. So that's point 4. Di pa tayo sa compass. Ayan. This is point 4 right here. Okay. Now I'll just connect 1 and 4. No? So ito. Connect ko lang. Now I have found N1. Okay. Now, mas madali talagang i-pull ko na lang yung mga points na to. No? Ito 5 and 6. Move ko upward. So it should appear here. Ito 5. This is point 5 here and 6 here. Tama? Tapos, itong point 9, if I moved it upwards, so I'll pull it upwards pa ganyan. So, nandiyan na siya. Dito, ito 1, 1, 4, 5, and 6. So, ito siya, yung oblique natin. So, this is the oblique plane right here. Ito siya. Okay, so mukha pa rin siyang a four-sided na trapezoid looking shape. Okay? Tapos, ito, inclined na to. Okay? So, if I did the final answer, ito, isang buong shape na to, no? So, let's do it on another layer. Yan. Dito. Yan. Okay? So, that's my final answer, no? Ganyan siya for the HRP. Okay? So, let's do HRP naman. Sorry, FRP, I mean. So, for FRP, itong N2 muna yung una natin, no? Kasi yun yung nakadikit sa FRP. So, ang always inuuna ko class, no, is yung mga nakadikit sa mismong glass box kasi it's always easier to just locate them first, no? So, let's do this. Copy natin siya dito. It's this line right here. And if I connect this one and this one, that will be my tong line 1, 1, 9. Si line 1, 9 siya. Okay? Tapos, ito, N2 na to. Okay. Tapos, if I draw it downwards dito, ito yung ito is line 4, no? So let me just erase. Ito siya. This is line 4, point 4 I mean. And kumbaga ito si point 4, line 4-3 to na naka-point view. Tama? So ito, we could also pull this point right here, papunta dyan. Tama, no? If you pull that point towards this direction, we will know the distance. So there are two ways to do this. You can do, for example, ang pwede nyo gawin is ganyan. Extend nyo lang yung line na to. You have this. You extend this line right here and you measure this distance right here. Pwedeng ano, no? Or Another way to do it is to extend. Pwede rin, ang isa sa pwede nyo gawin is to draw a line papunta sa baba. Tapos ito naman yung gagawa nyo ng um, parallel line. Parallel to this line here. Tapos gawa nyo ng extension na pa ganyan and measure this distance. Okay? Parang i-copy nyo yung distance na to dito pala to make the parallel line. And now you can measure this distance. Okay, so I think it's simpler now if I just pull this point. Just extend this line, papunta dyan, and now measure this one. Alright, so if I measure that, so again class, there are many solutions to this, no? So you just pick, kasi pwede rin ang ginawa nyo is, ito no, pwede rin ganyan. Tapos yun yung i-copy nyo. So it just boils down to which method you are more comfortable and how you track your points and distances, no? Ito, let me just do this. Ito siya. This one. And I think I'm done, no? Parang ganyan siya. Okay. So, this is an incline, no? Yung imagination natin. Therefore, one edge view lang siya. And this is the edge view that it is. This is where I is looks like an edge view, no? And then ito again, this is our oblique. So N2, N1 edge view dito. Tapos N3 is edge view dito. Okay. So if I do the final answer, magiging ganito siya. Like that. This one. Hanggang dito lang kasi this one is supposed to be empty, no? Itong part na to. Tama? Kasi butas siya. Look at it from this end. Dire-diretso dapat yung kung yun yung line of sight nyo. So therefore, hanggang ganyan lang siya dapat. Okay? We draw this. Connect it. Tapos last, draw it. Like so. Yan yung magiging final answer ko. Okay? So again, to check your answers, just try to locate the different planes. No? So for example, ito, if I look at it, plane O, itong O is here, O, tapos N1 is right here, I is this one, naka-edge view, N3 edge view, N2 kita naman. Okay? Again, pwede natin i-apply yung sabi ko kanina, no, na if an object appears a certain way, then it should appear that way. If it's not in its edge view, no, it should appear in that general form in any view. No? So if you look at N2, para siyang triangle na parang may na-chop off na part sa dulo. So parang dito, you can see na medyo triangle pa rin naman siya. Triangle tas chinop off yung dito niya. Okay? So it still retains its shape. No? And last is si M3 naman. Si PRP. So again, ang easiest way is to first do the lines that are kumbaga nakadikit sa quote-unquote nakadikit sa ano natin, sa glass box. So in this case, it's N3. So let's do N3 first and I can just extend it. Ito, extend natin. If I extend this will be itong 0.9 na to. Tapos, let's take our compass. No, sorry. Hindi ko na kailangan ng compass kasi pwede ko extend to. This is the line for 5, 6. No? And ang kailangan ko na lang is itong distance na to. Kung gaano kalayo yung line 5, 6. So notice how I can just measure it directly, class again. No? Kasi I can measure it directly is because ano siya, naka-isometric view. Okay? So, yan. This is the location of 5. That is the length of 5, 6. No? So if I connect this one and this one, then I have essentially made my line N3. No? This N3. So if I Just erase this one. Ay, mali yun. Sige, okay lang. Na-drawing ko pala. So, erase ko lang to para mas malinaw. Okay. So, that's N3. So, gawin natin is, drawing natin si I naman. So, I is, if I pull this point papunta dito, should be located here and here. No? Itong line 3, 4. So, pwedeng i-drawing ko lang diretso sa taas. And this is my I. Tapos, ito actually yung oblique ko. No? If I try to pull this point right here, pull this point right here. So, ito siya. So, itong line 1, 4 will be something like this. No? Okay. So, with that, I've solved my, I don't know. Okay, that's completed. And siya. And this one, solid. Okay, so let's dim down the construction lines. You will see na ito yung magiging parang final answer niya. Okay, this is I inclined and 3 tapos oblique, parang 4-sided na trapezoid looking shape pa rin siya. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that should be my final answer. All right. So this is the last problem. So I think we will end early today. No? Half of the time lang magagamit natin. Unless of course may questions pa kayo. No? So let's do this. This is probably the hardest. Tama ba? Let me double check na kung tama nga ba na ano. We have only 4 problems. Unless outdated tong module. Wait. Ito na nga yung last. Okay, so let's do this. Try to do this. Yung 2. Again, first step, glass box muna. So I imagine na itong parang arrow shape na to, this is my normal. So ito, let's call this normal 1. And for me, ang easiest is if i-dedicate ko tong plane na to, tong normal plane na to. I'll make it such that it's a normal plane na nakadikit sa roof ng glass box. So I'll call this N2, no? Parang kung ito yung glass box ko, nakadikit siya doon. That's mine, no? Pero pwede namang iba yung imagination nyo. So, depending on how you look at it, no? Pero I think if i-dedicate ko to sa roof, that will be the simplest na solution to this problem. And 2, ito dedicate ko sa PRP ko. So, I call this N3. So, this now, ito will be an inclined, no? At least para sa akin, mas magdali kung gagawin ko siyang inclined such that ito, edge view siya. Kumbaga, ito, maging edge view siya sa PRP. Okay? So, wait lang class. Ulitin natin. So, N1, N2, N3. Let's call this I1. Tapos, ito is, imagination ko dito is, it's an inclined as well, no? Tama? So, kumbaga, ang edge view niya is seen at the HRP. Sa HRP natin makikita. Okay? I hope you also imagine that way, no? So, ito, I1, di ba pag inclined, it is seen as an edge view in one of the primary reference planes. And for this case, ang primary reference plane ko is the PRP. Tama? Magmumukha siyang edge view dyan. Tapos etong si I2 naman, magmumukhang edge view dito sa HRP. Okay? So this just leaves me with this plane, and I think this will be an oblique. No? So it will be shown in, wala siyang edge view in either of the three primary reference planes. Okay? So if you disagree, try mag-chat na lang kayo. And if you have a different imagination, just chat it, or pwedeng i-open nyo yung mics nyo, tapos sabihin nyo kung ano yung tingin nyo yung other possible glass boxes dito. No? But let me work on this type of imagination. No? So ito. And move it upwards. Diyan. Tapos, since I'm imagining na ganito yung glass box ko, and I could just do this. Tapos, in-imagine ko kasi ito yung ano, no, nakadikit tong N2. So, this should be the parang topmost portion of the glass box. No? Tapos, I can now connect this one and this one. Okay. So, yan yung glass box natin. So, again, similar siya sa glass box dito, no? Wherein, if I take my compass, equal yung Z and Y. Tama ba? No, sorry. Magkaiba sila lahat. So, iba yung length ng sa Z-axis, iba yung sa X-axis. So, the X-axis is larger. Tapos, yung largest na size niya is nasa Y-axis. Okay? Or sa Y direction. Okay, so i-translate na natin yung glass box natin. So, we have different sizes, no? So, first is ito muna. So, dito kukunin. Dito na lang. Kunin natin yung parang height nung HRP na box, no? So, yan. Nandyan siya. Tapos, ano siya kalayo? It's, wait. Height niya, ang height nito is, kumbaga, the width nito. So, drawing ko na rin. Now, let's copy the length. Length is this one. Meron actually technique ginagawa yung, and I learned this from one of my essays, no? And maybe you want to learn it as well, no? So, sige, wait, gawin ko muna tapos ituro ko yung isang technique. So, ito siya. Ganyan. Break that natin. So, one of my essays actually has this unique technique, no? Na ang ginagawa niya, if you already have your HRP, pwede mo actually i-transfer yung distance na yon papunta sa PRP. So what he does is, let me see, yellow, ano ko yung yellow, no? So extend niya tong ano, itong folding line na to. Ganyan, wait. So extend niya din to. Tapos kung saan siya nag-intersect, gagamitin niya yon as a, kumbaga, sorry. Paano nga ulit yung method niya? Tama. So, kumbaga, ang gagawin niya is extend niya to hanggang doon sa taas pala. So, ito, extend niya to hanggang dyan. So, ulitin natin. So, extend niya ng paganyan. Kasi ito extend pa, ganyan. Tapos, lahat ng dimensions dito na importante, kunwari ito, i-extend niya papunta dyan, papunta dyan. Tapos the way the method works is, kukunin niya yung compass niya. So he'll draw something like this, no? So kunwari ganyan. So from this part, i-drawing niya, yung compass niya, i-open niya hanggang dyan. Tapos i-drawing niya papunta dyan. So kumbaga, essentially what he's doing is, um, nililipat niya yung distance na to papunta dito sa part na to. So parang ganyan. Tapos he does it with this as well. So parang ganyan. So if I extend my compass, dito na siya. Tapos ito na yung dimensions ng glass box niya. Ganyan. So if you have, kunwari multiple lines dito, no? So kunwari lang may mga grids na ganyan. So pwede mo siyang i-dire-diretso lang na ganyan. Tapos i-transfer mo lang along this one para madaling mag-transfer ng distances. So I'm not sure if it's more efficient, pero I think it is, no? So if you want, you can also do this technique, no? Na parang transferring using parang compasses lang. Pero I never got comfortable with that technique, to, so hindi ko siya ginagawa. Pero I think some of you might find it useful, no? So you can try. Maybe it will be parang faster, no? Pagka tinry na siyang ginawa. Tapos, yun nga lang ba yun? Ang alam ko pwede mag-work din siya. Yun lang. Kasi ito dito naman sa HRP to PRP, pwedeng ibaba mo lang diretso na ganyan. Tapos dito, PRP to FRP, pa diretso pa ganyan lang din, di ba? Parang pa ganyan. Ang ano lang is you can't directly measure from, kumbaga, hindi mo pwedeng directly project si HRP and to PRP or PRP to HRP. So, that technique can be helpful, no? Yung gagawa ka ng extension na ganyan. So, you can do it if you want, no? Ako, I never just got comfortable with it, no? So, sana ba to? Okay na ang glass box dito. Ang kulang ko na lang is yung parang along the z-axis na distance, no? So, ito siya. Which is this tall, no? Tama ba? Let's copy that. So, ang ganda niyan. And I can just draw this. Para ma-complete ko yung glass box dito sa end na to. Okay? Now, let me just erase. Just erase na dito. Okay? So, that's my glass boxes, no? Okay? So, transfer naman tayo ng distances. So, let's first do HRP muna. N2. So, for this case, ang kailangan ko lang is itong point na to, no? Itong first point na to. This one. So, let's take that distance. Yan siya. So, it should be this distance away. Tama? Yan. So, if you connect this one and this one, tapos dito, tsaka dyan, this is N2. Okay? Tapos, I think that's it, no? Tama. Kasi if I pull this point right here, pull ko siya papunta dyan, that is this one, O na siya. That is oblique plane, O. Tapos, if I pull this point papataas, so dito, pataas, tsaka ito, pataas, then that will become my I1. Tama? So, ito magiging I1 na. Okay, so I think it's okay na siya. We've completed HRP. Tapos, drawing na lang natin yung final answer. Okay. Tapos next is N2 naman. Dito naman sa FRP. So we just draw downwards. Downwards ganyan. And that will be the location of this point right here. Tama? So let's draw pababa towards this bottom corner para mabuo ko yung arrow shape. Tapos ang kailangan ko is this distance. No? Parang I need this distance para magawa ko yung pag dito. Okay? So let's take my compass. Measure that distance right there. So, and this is, where is this? Ito na yung N1 ko. Tama? This is N1, which is the sort of arrow shape. No? Tapos, if I pull this point right here, from this point to this point, that will give me a triangular shape here, no? Which is actually oblique plane O. Tama? Tapos, if I pull this point towards this point, so I will be pulling it pa ganyan, then it will appear here. So, ito siya. Tapos, if I connect this one with this point right here, so from here to here, gives me I2 and I1. Tapos, si N2 is shown as an edge view dito sa taas. Itong buong taas na to. Tapos N3 is here. So I think I've located everything na, no? So I2, I1, and I think that's correct na. So let's go. Oh, white. Let's use white. Oh, and lastly, ito. Ay, meron pa pala. Isa pa. Okay. Now let's try to draw the last one. Ito siya. Oh. This is the location, and if I connect this one with this one, automatic N3 na to. No? Okay, so that was relatively easy. N3, tapos I2 to, tama? And this is N2 in its edge view. N1 is here as an edge view. Tapos itong edge view na to is I1. Tama? So, pwede nang diretso. Final answer na tayo. So, and just connect this one with this one. Okay. Now we double check, no? So we double check every plane and see if totoo nga ba yung nakuha nating sagot mo. So let's check I1 muna, no? So I1 is inclined, therefore it should be edge view in one of the views, no? So you can see na edge view si I1 dito. This is where it's edge view. Tapos for shorten siya in the two other views, which is ito I1 and I1. Okay? Before I proceed, Remiel, may question ka?
Sir, naririnig po ba ako?
Yes po.
Sir, yung line po para ho dun sa oblique, hindi na ho ba siya ilalagay as broken lines?
Tama. We should place it, no? Thank you for the reminder, ano, no? Remiel. So dapat yung si line sa oblique is meron kasi siyang line running from this top corner to this bottom corner, no? So we should have a broken line from here to here, and let me just para maging broken siya. Okay. So that should be my broken line here. Tama. Thank you, Remiel. So let's try to find all the planes, no? So again, si I1 is dapat 'di ba pag inclined it should be edge view in only one view. So that's edge view here. Tapos it's shown as a foreshortened view dito and foreshortened view dyan. So okay tayo sa I1. I1 is good. I2, let's check I2. I2 is shown as an edge view here. Tama? This is I2. So, ganyan. This is I2. Tapos si I2, edge view siya dyan. Dapat it should be shown for shortened sa two other views, which is I2 here, I2 here. So okay tayo sa I2. Then let's do N1. N1, since this is normal, it should be shown in its true size. And in the two other views, edge view siya. So N1 is edge view here. This is N1. Edge view din si N1 dito. So okay tayo sa N1. N2 is true size in the top view or HRP. Tapos edge view siya here and here. Tama? So N2 is okay. N3 is shown in its true size dito sa PRP. So this one. Tapos edge view siya in the two other views. So this is N3 right here. Edge view, and N3 here is also edge view. Ito, N3. Okay? So okay tayo sa N3. So last natin is yung oblique. And oblique, sabi natin pagka oblique, it should be shown in its foreshortened view in all the three views. So three primary views. So wala dapat edge view. So we can see na oblique is shown here as a triangle, and this is a triangle. No? So dapat triangle siya all throughout. So meron triangle dito, triangle dyan, and meron actually triangle pa dito. No? So if you look carefully, this one, let's do a separate layer. No? Ito is actually the oblique plane. No? Nasa likod nga lang siya. So natatabunan siya. So kaya i-drawing natin yung broken line. Okay? And dito ba, meron ba tayong na-miss? Wala naman dapat i-broken line dito. No? Doon ba sa kabila? Wala din. Okay tayo. And mukhang okay naman. Okay? So, that's all. And let me, yan na natin. No? Yan. Dapat ganyan yung final answer natin. Okay, so meron bang questions? So the shapes are relatively easy today, no? Pero you'll be encountering some shapes that are quite difficult, no? Lalo na pag medyo optical illusion siya. So for example, you could have an isometric view that looks like, and I think nasa plates ata to. Pero I think one of the plates is isometric siya pero isang square lang na ganyan. Okay, so you need to be creative dito, no? Kung paano siya i-imagine. So most likely, in this particular na scenario, there should be some objects doon sa view na hindi kita sa atin. Okay? So somewhere sa loob. O kumbaga, if we could rotate this, maybe if this is the shape, no? If we try to rotate it, maybe something like ganyan. Parang pwedeng ganyan. No? Pero I won't show the solution. And actually, hindi ko alam. Actually, ko maraming solution to mga ganyan. Whenever you have, features that are hidden from the isometric view, kasi sa isometric view does not have any hidden lines. No? So whenever there is hidden features, usually marami yung possible answers. No? So ang key dito is the key is to draw the proper glass box for it. Okay? So again, glass box, kailangan yung dito is supposed to be 30 degrees, no? That's 30 degrees going here, 30 degrees going there. Okay? Tapos ito, perpendicular line siya, straight upward. Question, Ramiel, go ahead.
Sir, kapag may nakatago sa isometric, kanya-kanya interpretation.
Ano yun? Sorry?
Pag may nakatago po na part sa isometric,
Kailangan, ano yung...
kanya-kanya po bang interpretation yun or automatic na po siyang withdraw?
Kanya-kanyang interpretation, pero ang suggestion ko is always try to draw the easiest or the simplest forms, no? Usually triangles yung simplest, no? Kasi technically, if you want to something like this, no? Pwede kasing something, kunwari, titingnan natin yung from this view. Pwede siyang, kunwari, may mga complex na shape na ganyan. Which is, kumbaga baka sakto yung angle na hidden siya dito, no? So, hindi mo nakita dito. Pero, tama, no? You can do something like this, or you can do, for example, even more complicated shapes like may circles ka or arcs. So, kunwari, pwedeng ganyan. So may butas pa dyan or something. So you can be complicated about it, pero kumbaga mapapahirapan nyo lang yung solution nyo. So the simplest, um, try to do the most, yung pinaka-simple na interpretation of what is given. No? It helps both on your side, pati sa checker side. Okay?
Ah, sir, bali, wala akong mali or anything to settle.
Posibleng may mali, no? Kasi kunwari, you imagined it one way and it didn't work, kumbaga. Kumbaga kung i-check. Kasi the way checkers usually do it is, kunwari, um, meron kang certain imagination, tapos let's just say may imagination ka na ganyan, no? So ito, nasa likod to, no? Or sa hidden from view. Kunwari, ganyan yung imagination mo. So, the way the checker checks it is, kunwari, ito, at saan tong plane na to? Itong plane 1. And pwede dun sa view mo, walang plane 1 na lumabas. O dun sa multi-view mo. So that is immediately wrong. Ano? And you need to take into account din yung stability ng object. No? So I think this is mentioned sa you can read on it on the modules, no, pero for one, dapat kasi stable yung object, no, meaning that it does not kumbaga, if the object is drawn, it should not um tip over, no. So for example, you can't have an object sa isometric to, no, you can't have an object that looks like this. Para ganyan. Because this point is not stable, no? Tama? It's resting on this point. So if it were a real object, magto-topple over to. Okay? So yun yung isa sa mga limitations. If it's not stable, and you can't have objects that are connected by a line. So for example, kumari ganito, no? So if I extend this, tapos ganyan yung object nyo. So kunwari lang, you have an object that looks like that. So, hindi rin pwede to, tama? Kasi itong, wait, drawing ko lang. So, itong part na to is just held on by a single line. Tama? Kumari ito. So, hindi rin siya pwede kasi we call this as parang, ang tawag dito sa ES1 is parang naka-super glue lang siya. So, hindi pwede yung mga naka-super glue, hindi pwede yung mga resting on a single point lang. If it has multiple points, pwede. In some cases, pinapayagan, pero most of the time, kailangan solid yung base nyo. No? So it shouldn't topple over. There are other cases pa. So these are just the things that come into mind. No? Just read the modules. Nas nandun naman yung mga cases wherein bawal siya dapat. Okay? Other questions? Mukhang okay na yata. So I think, yun, I'm not sure kung ano yung mas mahirap, no, kung isometric to multi-view ba or multi-view to isometric. I think they're equally equal yung difficulty nila, no, levels of difficulty. So you'll just have to do several practice, ano. So just practice on different objects. Tapos if you have access to mga old worksheets or old exams or old sample exams, then you can practice on your own. Tapos tingnan nyo kung ano yung saan kayo nahihirapan. Tapos ano yung makakatulong sa inyo para ma-imagine siya. Usually, again, yung mga optical illusions yun nagpapahirap sa kanila. Pero other than that, kaya naman yung part na to. Anong part na to, ito na yung
part ng ES1 na mas malaki na yung reliance natin on imagination, no? Because if you have a good imagination, kumbaga meron kayong magiging advantage, no, over those that have difficulty in imagining objects in space, no. So if you um downloaded the app na binanggit ko, maybe it can help, no. Sometimes yung iba some students say na hindi siya nakatulong, pero yung iba naman natulungan doon. That is mostly for planes in space, no, pero planes in space translate well into objects in space na rin. You can look into programs like ano din, Google ba yun? Hindi pala Google. Yung SketchUp. So you can look at SketchUp, tapos just try random shapes, tapos ikot nyo around, tapos tingnan nyo kung paano siya umiikot around in space, and that may help you. I don't know. Pero make sure na kapag nag-SketchUp kayo, naka-ano siya, yung isometric view. Kasi kung naka-perspective view siya, iba kasi yung dimensions niya on the different axes, no? So dapat isometric siya. So yun din yung difficulty ng isometric, no? Although in some cases madali lang siya i-imagine, pero we as human beings, no, the way our eyes are built, actually naka-perspective view tayo, no, para ma-judge natin yung depth. Pero in this views, ito kasi sa isometric, it does not show that depth, no? Kasi if this were the real world, dapat itong shape na to should look something like, dapat medyo, and I mean, exaggerating dito, no? Pero, let me try to, show it in its perspective view. Dapat medyo ganyan siya, di ba? Okay? I hope you can imagine it. Parang ganyan. Okay. So something like that. Tama? So this part is closer to you, therefore it should appear larger, and this back part, ito, is further away, so it should appear, I don't know, should appear smaller. So parang ganyan siya. So ganyan dapat siya sa real world, but because this is an isometric view, kumbaga this part right here appears the same dimensions as this part right here. So sometimes that can put students off, no? Parang dahil sa isometric view siya, minsan parang na kumbaga nagte-trigger siya ng something sa brain, no, na parang something's not right, parang hindi nagme-make sense tong object na to. So yun. So that could be one of the challenges, no. Pero it just needs a little bit of practice, no. Ang imagination kasi the best way you can imagine or you can relate isometric objects into the real world is para siyang you are viewing it from a really far location, no? Kasi kung really far location siya, ang nangyayari is the rays, kumbaga yung rays niya, because it's very far away, should be parallel, no? So hindi sila nagko-converge. Kasi if you look at this, nagko-converge kasi ang mga rays na to. If you look at it from the distance, yeah. Although hindi ko I'll not go into the theory na doon, no? Pero parang ganun siya. So para siyang you are looking at an object at a distance, no? Parang ganyan. Tapos kita mo na kaya yung parallel lines appear parallel, tapos and they don't meet. Pero if you're looking at an object from close up, kunwari ganyan, so you should, because of how your eyes work, you should have something that looks like this, no? Na parang if you were to track the rays, it will converge somewhere uh, somewhere in the distance, no? So converging, kumbaga, yung mga parallel lines. Okay? So, yun. Okay tayo? I think